Hi everyone. So this lesson there are two tasks to get started on. Some people will have started one of these last week. So we want to be in your drive in the 805 spreadsheets and selection and in the lesson 2 spreadsheets space quiz. So open that one up. So there's PowerPoint to help you and there is the spreadsheet itself. So you need to open both of these. Let's just full screen both of them. Okay, so first of all, this slide is just telling you where the formatting options are. So what we've got to do, we're going to do a quiz. We want it to look like a quiz rather than look like a spreadsheet that an accountant might use. So I'll go through this fairly quickly. Please pause the video as you do each part, and that way then you're not going to kind of fall behind and have to search for it again. So I'm going to zoom this in just so that it's a little bit easier to see in the video there. So first thing that we're going to do, our title is in this box here, so I'm going to highlight all the way across to column D. When you're highlighting, remember to go in the middle of a cell and highlight. We're going to go up here, we're going to click merge and center, which turns those into one cell. We've got our title in there, so we can always change the size of that if we want to, and then I'm just going to change the background colour. Let's use something nice and bright there, so I'll have that in yellow. So if you've not done it yet, pause the video, do that part. Next we are going to highlight all of the quiz, and we're then going to go here, look, and put in the all borders grid lines. Now we need to put the answers to each of the questions in as we go, so don't bother looking them up. They are in the PowerPoint. They're on slide 7, so you don't need to put them all in at once, just put them in as we go. And then also in the PowerPoint on slide 5, it takes you through the first if statement. So let's do this one first. So our answer is Mercury. Doesn't matter about upper or lowercase on these. So now we're going to do an if statement. So like we said before, an if statement acts like an if then else statement in programming. So equals if, open brackets. So we're going to look at this. If whatever someone's typed in that answer box equals, and now because it's text, alphanumeric data, we put it in speech marks, Mercury. So if what they're writing there equals Mercury, then we put a comma for then, 1 mark, else we put a comma for else, 0 marks. Close the bracket, press enter. So that should give them a score of 1. We can just double click there, put an extra space at the end of Mercury, and it changes it, so it'll go wrong. Put it back down there. So let's do this one. So type in Mars, and we're going to do a next if statement. So equals if, open brackets, if that one equals, speech marks, Mars, then, using a comma for then, 1 mark, else, using a comma for else, 0 marks. Close brackets, press enter. So if you didn't pause the video at that point, pause the video, get these two done before you go on to the next one. Right, so we want our answer in here. Remember that you can get all of the answers from the PowerPoint. Okay. So I'm going to do over here again, equals if, open brackets, click on Jupyter, equals, speech mark, Jupyter, make sure that's spelled correctly, then 1 mark, else 0 marks, close the bracket. Now it's important that you do each of these individually. Okay, so don't try to use a shortcut or anything like that, because what I want you to do is get the practice of doing these if, then, else statements with the equals if. Okay, it does say in the PowerPoint on one of them to do one of these different. Doesn't really matter which one you do, so pick one of them. Okay, so we might say for this one then, for example, so Venus, we might say that's a bit of a harder question, so let's go equals if the answer box equals Venus, then 2 marks, else 0 marks, close the bracket. Okay, so you need to continue doing that until you have got all of these working. Okay, that point, you've got all your answers in there, so leave the answers in, and then we're just going to make some other improvements to the spreadsheet. Make sure you've saved, by the way. So if I go to this row 3 here, and I'm putting my mouse right on the 3, right click, insert, and then in there we're going to put in name. Let's make that a little bit bigger, so I might go to maybe say a size 16, make it bold, and then you go between A and B at the top, and you can then click, drag and widen that column. That gives us a nice box here to put a thick outside border on, and maybe we'll just colour that in a very light colour for people to type their name in. Over here, let's have a score box. Sorry, just watch the case on that. Let's do that again. So let's make it the same size as the name one, so a size 16. Let's right align that, let's make it bold, and then let's put a box around here. So our score is going to be the sum of all of these scores here. And again, then once you've got that, let's make that a little bit bigger. Let's center it, let's make it bold. Okay, so you will have the answers in there. If we were using this as a quiz, what we would then do is delete all of the answers, and then you give it to the person who was doing that quiz. So pause the video if you need to go back, get all of this finished, okay, before you move on to the next piece of work. Okay, so if you've got everything finished, okay, we're going to look at now, there is a problem with using this. So if this was an actual test that you were doing, say in science, unfortunately there's some very easy ways to cheat on it. You just click there and we can read what the answer is. Okay, so we know what all the answers are. It's very easy to get in there and cheat. So our next piece of work is going to do this in a slightly different way. So you need to go back into 805, go into lesson 3 elements quiz, and then open up the elements quiz template. Okay, so once again I'm going to zoom in a little bit here so that we can see it clearer on the video. So your sheet is going to be slightly different. I don't have that sheet with me at the moment, so let's just try and get these roughly the same. So each question that you will have here, I think it's something like a question A and a question B, will be saying which element has the symbol. Okay, so all of them will be saying something like that on yours. Okay, so what you've got to do is come up with symbols for different elements. So you've got a periodic table in your planner. If not, go on the internet. Don't spend ages trying to think of really hard questions because nobody's going to be answering them. Right? We're just making the quiz just so that we can do the if statements for this. So let's say I would say try and, if you can, pick the ones with just one letter, but it doesn't really matter. Okay, so let's say and then we might go for some easier ones that most people know, like so iron, silver, lead and gold. So next thing that we need to do is get our answers in here now. So I'm just going to bring this back slightly. Okay, so doesn't matter again about case. Right, so we've got all of our answers in there. Now, again, save it. If you've not got to this stage yet, pause the video, get all of that done. Okay, so once we're at this stage now, the next thing that we need to do is we're going to make it look like a quiz. So again, let's start up there. So you can call it elements quiz, you can put your name in it, you know, John's elements quiz, something like that. We're going to highlight all the way across to where our score is there, and once again we're going to merge and center. Okay, and then we're going to colour in the top part of that. Here in cell A3, let's put the name again, so make that bold. Let's make it probably a size 16, and then get hold of those and stretch them. Click in the box and put a thick outside border. Over here then we're going to have a final score, so we're going to want that a little bit bigger again. Let's make that size 16, bold and right align, and then let's put a box around where our score is going to be. So again, pause the video, get caught up on those parts if you haven't done that already. Next, let's highlight these, and we're going to put our all borders grid lines on, but we don't really want a line going down the middle there. So I'm going to highlight just those two, back to there, and we're going to go to more borders, and then this middle line we're just going to click on it to switch it off, which will switch it off there as well. Next stage, so again, make sure you're up to date with absolutely everything on here now. I might just put some colour in the box so that people know where they're supposed to type. Okay, so next thing then, we're going to highlight all of our answers, and we're going to copy them. We're going to go to the answers sheet, and we're going to paste them in. Doesn't really matter where you paste them, but A1's just as good a place as any. And back here. So this time we're going to put in a formula which will not have the answer in it. So it's going to be equals if, open brackets, if the answer box is equal to, and then you're going to go to the answers sheet and click on the first one there, the correct answer. So now we're up here, look. If D5, that's the answer box, equals answers A1, click in that box there so you don't have to go back, then 1 mark, else 0 marks. Close the bracket, press enter. Now, because they're all in one column, and these are all in one column, we can now replicate that. And then let's make that centered. Might just make those a little bit more bold. Okay. Again, our score is the sum of all of these. And again, let's center that, make it bold. Let's make it a little bit bigger. Okay, and then the last thing is then really just to make the rest of the quiz look more like a quiz. So go there, and then if you highlight a row, hold down Control, you can do every other one, which is quicker than doing them all separately. So we're up to there, and then decide what colour you're going to have any of those in. Okay. And then what you can do at that point is we would delete our answers. Now if someone clicks on here, they can't tell what the answer is. Our final thing is to right click on answers down there and hide that sheet. Now there is a way of locking those as well so that people can't unhide the sheet and that they can't get into anything here, but we will look at that next lesson. Okay, so once you're up at that stage, make sure you save that. Okay, and then if you have any more time in the lesson, then go on some of the programs in the Z Games folder.